Okay. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right, it is Thanksgiving Day in the afternoon of the 28th of November. I'm going to pick up with the Ferrara Palombo herstories and histories. I'm going to tie it into my last chapter, part 2. So this is chapter 1, part 3 of the Ancestral Family Documentation's journey. And we're still on part of the Ferrara and the Palombo. Okay. So this later documentation about the Vicalvi Castle being turned into a German hospital for during World War II was a confirmation that my mother had told us about the World War II stories passed down. And I'm going to repeat this, but I'm going to tie it in, okay? Which depicted our great mother, as I said, our great grandmother passed away in 1945 at the end of the war. I don't not yet have much research on the area where my pa's family is from, so I'm going to come back to that. My parents met in Detroit in 1941 before the war. My father was drafted for World War II. They met through the Italian Catholic Federation. The Italian American social clubs were so large that they were divided by subgroups that were divided up by Italian regions. So they're from the Campania region, which is right on the border of Lazio and Abruzzi. I know 2 sets of my grandparents are from the same village, the same area of Campania, on the border of Lazio and Abruzza, the regions of southern Italy. Vicalvi sits southwest of Rome, southeast of Naples, and southeast of Rome. So here's Rome up here, and here's Naples, and it's about right in here, okay? And this around Naples is the Lazio, and then the Campania, and as I stated yesterday, up in the Adriatic Sea towards the other side is the Abruzzi, okay? My Papa Joe is Giuseppe Ontario Palombo. Okay, he was born, our Papa Joe, was born May 1st, 1887 in Italy, and passed away in Detroit, 1966, at the age of 79. His parents, his father, was Ontario, Ontario, Palombo, Ontario Palombo. Don't know the name when he was born. I'm going to look him up. His mother, this is very significant, his mother is Giovanna Rigi Palombo. She deceased in 1900 when Papa Joe, our Papa Giuseppe, was 3 years old. So my mama said that Papa Joe lived in an orphanage, and she didn't quite know why, but it makes a lot of sense that he didn't have a mother. Perhaps he didn't have a grandmother. I don't know. But Mary Cuda, there were many cousins. You know, the 3 girl cousins that are direct cousins to my mother, Maria, and Italia, and Angela, and Tullio. They also had another cousin. So there was like Rosa Linda. I'll get into the other names. Not Loretta, but it starts with an L, and then another woman. But Mary Cuda stayed in Vicalvi during the war, who was the first cousin of our mother's, and all of her sisters and brothers, of course, at one point did a family tree back in the 1980s and 90s. So I'm going to try to construct Giuseppe and Christina a little bit for you. So Giuseppe and Christina are married in 1904. As I stated, they eloped. They eloped, and they actually married at the Vicalvi Church. There's a Catholic church adjacent to the hospital and the castle up there. So Christina was 1 year older than Giuseppe. Okay, she was born in 86. He was born in 87. Just a couple months apart. She was born in June. He was born in May. They married in 1904. folks, 1904. They moved to France so Papa could get work. Christina gave birth to her first baby girl, Giovanna, named after Giuseppe's mother, Giovanna Rigi Palombo. Just touches me. They got their first daughter in France, separate from her parents. This was really hard times in Italy. Really, really hard. It was very poor. I don't know what exactly the circumstances were, but Italy wasn't even a union. But it was really poor, substandard poverty for southern Italy. So Giovanna dies at age 6 months. And Giuseppe leaves Christina, and he goes to America. And he takes to Ellis Island. And he takes the voyage. Maybe it's 1906. Maybe it's 1905. So I think they were always their anniversary, I believe, is in February, because it's around the same time Catalina and I were born, in February. There were snowstorms both times that Mama was in labor with both of us girls, 2 years apart. And it was one of them, I can't remember which, but one of them they were celebrating Nana and Nani's, Papa Joe and Nana Christina's anniversary. So I think it might be February, it might be January, I'm not sure. So he comes, he leaves Christina. I don't know, Christina must go back to Vicalvi. She must go back to the farm. The photos that we have, the two juxtaposed photos of Papa Joe and of Christina, Maria Cristina, is one was taken in Italy with her, and one was taken in America. And then when they reunited, they fused the photos. And my mother gave me the photo when she died. We have it hung up. I can take a picture of it, share it with you, get prints for it. You need to preserve this stuff. You need to hold on to this stuff. You need to know your heritage. You got to know that you are standing on the shoulders of immigrants. Okay? So sometime, I don't know, a year later, then I don't know when Christina comes, but I'm going to find out. I got the Ancestors.com. I got the 50% off of the ARP. So instead of it costing me $700 a year, it's going to cost me $360 for the year. I'm going to really do my research. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to tell you about their children. Okay? They moved to Pittsburgh. They worked the railroad. You know, the Chinese worked the railroad. You know, this was right after the slave trade. So it was, freedom for the slaves, and they needed cheap and free labor that wasn't governed by any of the new laws that you couldn't own slaves. So they brought the Chinese over, they brought the Irish, and they brought the Italians. And the Italians are actually the largest immigration of immigrants in American history. Okay, from like 1880, 1890 to 1920, before the World War I started. So they're in Pittsburgh. Okay, so this is, 1906, 1907, 1908, 1910. They start having babies. So bear with me. Giovanna has been buried either in France or in Italy. I'm not sure where they buried the baby. They have a daughter named Ginny. They have a daughter named Laura. They have a daughter named Beatrice. And they have twin boys that lived for 5 days. Okay? Ginny lived to be 3 to 4 years old. And Mama Maria, my mama, she told me that she died of strep throat. Laura, I don't know the date that Ginny was born. Laura was born, according to Tullio, in 1922. And she died... I'm sorry, I don't know how Ginny died. I'm sorry, I take that back. I don't know how Ginny died. It was Laura who died of strep throat. I'm not sure. Ginny was 3 or 4 years old. we'll construct it when I get into our ancestors' oral histories that Mama recorded in 1992. Okay, bear with me. Laura was born in 1922, and she died in 1928 at the age of 6 or 7 from strep throat. No antibiotics. Beatrice was born in 1922, and she died a year and a half old of pneumonia in 1923. I don't know when the twin boys were born. Some people thought they were stillborn, but according to one of our aunts and uncles, they lived for 5 days. And the story had it is that Nana Christina had 9 to 10 pound babies with their heads off the scale. Okay, and Nana Christina weighed between 300 and 350 pounds throughout her 11 pregnancies that spanned from 1904. I'm sure she got pregnant right away. Women were very fertile when they're 17, 18, 19. They got married. You know, in that winter, she got pregnant. She had Giovanna probably in the spring or the summer of the next year. She would go on to have 11 babies and 10 pregnancies. The twin boys lived 5 days. Tullio is born in 1916. Italia is born in 1918. Angela is born in 1920 with the dysplasia of the hip. Mary is born in 1924. Armando Hap Palombo is born in 1926. 5 children of the 11 babies, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. She lost 6 babies. 6. Fathom them. Mama had 6 babies. She lost 6 babies. She had 11 babies, and 5 lived to adulthood. Okay. So that's 12 minutes, folks. I'd like to, keep our attention span going. I'd like to get into Tullio's story, Tullio Palombo, my maternal uncle's story. These recordings are done, I'm not sure if I have to keep the video under 15 minutes. You know, I don't have a paid subscription with YouTube. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close here, and then I'm going to turn it back on, and I'm going to get into Tullio, because he's the oldest, of all those 11 children. He was the one that survived, and the oldest. He's older than, I didn't realize he was older than Talia, but they're only a year apart. So we're going to give him the patriarchal, respect as being the first child to make it to 10 years old and further, And then Italia, she lived so long. She was our matriarch. And my mama, who lived till 1998. Tullio died in 1993. 5 years later, Mama died from the exact same colon cancer. I'm not sure if Tullio had rectal colon cancer. So get your colonoscopies, folks, every 5 years. And if you're younger and you get symptoms, go. Just go. They're doing them now all the way down to 45. I was just in the hospital with a woman who was 42 years old, and she has cancer in her belly, the top of the upper intestines, which is part of the colon. She's got 2 little girls, 9 and 11. She was just diagnosed in January or February with, the carcinoma of the breast, and now she's dealing with the carcinoma of the gut. And she had to advocate for herself. She had to go outside of Kaiser and pay $750 to get a second opinion from Stanford, but it saved her life. And she got a colonoscopy. She was in my room. She was my roommate, recovering with her sweet 2 little girls, beautiful little girls. I got to meet them and be friends with them. So blessings to Rebecca and her 2 little girls, and that she may have a radical remission and cure all of her cancer and have a full life with her and her daughters. I'm going to close here, 15 minutes. I'll come back to Tulio. Thank you. Love you.